Hello everyone, so today I want to shine some light on one of the biggest problems that Battlefield games have had in recent years, in the hopes that the same mistakes aren't repeated as we go into Battlefield 6 and DICE start looking into the overall balance of the game. Before we jump in, be sure to pop by our live stream sometime over at twitch.tv/ghostgaminggg. I stream a few times a week and I always love, chatting to you guys, playing a few rounds of BF4 with you. I don't really go by a set schedule, but you can always find the times for any given week in the Discord. And, you guys coming by and watching is honestly one of the best ways that you can support me. So, hope to see some of you guys there. So, vehicles are a really big part of Battlefield, obviously, and whether you're somebody who, like me, uses them all the time, or you're more of an infantry player who jumps in every now and again, this issue will affect you, and that problem or issue is the disparity or the unevenness between different vehicles of the same class. So to elaborate a little further for those who aren't familiar with the issue, in Battlefield you have different classes of vehicle that are by design supposed to be different. For example, in Battlefield 4 you have the stealth jet being the faster, more agile aircraft designed for dogfighting and taking down enemy jets, and then you have the attack jet that's more catered towards strafing the ground targets. Or for example in Battlefield 5 you have the fighter planes and then you have the bomber planes. However, each faction in these games gets their own specific variant of that vehicle. So for stealth jets in Battlefield 4, USA get the F-35, the Chinese get the J-20 and the Russians get the Su-50. Now all these vehicles being in the same class, you would expect them all to behave similarly and have similar strengths and weaknesses, but in many cases that simply isn't the case. For example, anyone who's worth a damn dogfighting in a stealth jet knows that the best stealth jet out of the three is the F-35 for the US side, and the worst one, by a significant margin, is the Chinese J-20. Why, you might ask? Well, quite simply, the F-35 can turn faster because it has a faster speed, which is the main advantage that the stealth jet has over the attack jet in the first place. Now, it's not quite as big of a jump as that, so I'm not suggesting that the J-20 and the F-35 should be put in two different subclasses, but there is still a significant advantage to flying in the F-35 when compared with the J-20. And if you put two pilots of the same skill up against each other in a dogfight, the pilot with the F-35 will win hands down. You can see in the background here that I'm doing a little bit of dogfighting in an air superiority server with a friend, and both factions are the US, to make sure both pilots have the exact same vehicles so that neither of them have any advantages or disadvantages. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, the body shape of the J-20 is absolutely huge and much easier to hit than the F-35, and that's something that a lot of people complain about. But I won't talk too in depth about the shape of the vehicles here because, of course, these are real-life aircraft, and DICE aren't about to just go chopping bits off of them to fit their game. So I can forgive that, but I just simply don't understand why there is any difference in the speed models of the three jets. And this problem doesn't stop with the stealth jets. The helicopters too have some massive differences. So the scout heli for the US side get the Little Bird, right? Whilst the other two factions have to use the Z-11. Now the Little Bird is faster than the Z-11. You can throw the Little Bird down on the ground like a sack of potatoes, not take any damage, and easily get out to repair. But then, so much as land on a tiny pebble in the Z-11 and it just spontaneously blows up in your face. And then to make matters worse, the Z-11 has a much longer profile, making it harder to maneuver in tight spaces. How about the attack helicopters? Once again, Team USA come out on top using the Viper, whilst the Russian Havoc and the Chinese Z-10 are significantly worse. Why, you might ask? Well, simple really, they're significantly less maneuverable in almost every way. You simply can't pull off the same risky maneuvers in a Z-10 or a Havoc as you can in the Viper. So it definitely feels like somebody at DICE had a special liking for the US team when they were balancing things for Battlefield 4. Now obviously most of these examples are from Battlefield 4, but that's simply because That's the Battlefield game that I'm the most familiar with, and I pretty much know it inside out at this point. But if you want to go further down the rabbit hole, I know a lot of good Battlefield 5 pilots regard the Japanese Zero to be slightly more maneuverable and superior to the American Corsair. Now, you might sit there and say, oh Ghost, you're just whining because you're a vehicle sweat or whatever. I'm an infantry player and I can't even tell the difference. Well, that's all very well and good, but we still end up playing on the same team. And if both teams have a fantastic heli team and a couple of great pilots up in the sky, but you're on the Chinese team and you're up against the US team, guess what? More likely than not, your team are going to lose because the enemy attack heli will own yours almost every time. The enemy pilot will destroy your team's attack jet and stealth jet, and then they'll proceed to dish out more punishment to you on the ground. Of course, it's not going to play out like that every single time, because maybe even if you're in the inferior jet or the inferior helicopter, you're simply more skilled or better than the players on the enemy team. But given two players of the same skill, whoever has the superior aircraft will always win. There's a reason that a lot of servers on PC run the same faction on each team instead of the default ones, and it's because the community know how out of whack this vehicle balance is. Honestly, I feel like not a lot of people talk about this because most Battlefield players aren't fantastic vehicle users. And that's, not to put anyone down or boast or anything like that. That's just a matter of fact. I just really hope that going into the next Battlefield game, assuming we do see many of these similar vehicle classes return, that DICE manage to get the balance of them a little bit closer. And if they do end up being slightly unbalanced, for God's sake, please don't make all the best vehicles be on the same faction. What do you guys reckon? Do I have a point here, or am I just whining unnecessarily? Let me know down below. Don't forget to leave the video a rating if you enjoyed or not, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.